Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Really pissed off. I mean, and first off, before I even get into this particular game, many of you hit me up and said, "Where the hell were you last week after the Saints game? You pretended like the Saints game didn't happen." Brothers, I got sick, all right? So, brothers and sisters, because we have both viewing our videos here, but I got sick and really didn't really find my way until the end of the week when it was time to do Texas prep. Didn't get around to getting my Saints thoughts out, but that'll flow into what we're talking about here in regards to the Packers game. Uh, when you come out and you have essentially a 6 quarter stall with this offense, going back from last week to what we experienced this week, the penalties, the inconsistency in execution. We were so quick to harp on the play calling and Kellen Moore morphing into Scott Linehan and all those type of things. But when you dug into the Saints tape, when you dig into what we were doing today, it is more about execution than it is play design or anything of that manner. There is enough opportunities for people to make plays. I'm talking about the offense right now. We will get to the defense in a second here, but there's enough for people to make plays. You know, Sometimes the quarterback is not executing and making proper throws. Sometimes guys are not making catches. Sometimes we're not blocking it up the way we need to be. So blame can be evenly distributed across this football team from execution standpoint. And still they show talent and still they're able to produce and get those big plays and still they're able to generate what we all know and expect from them from all three levels. There's plays in here in this game where the quarterback does make the throws. There's plays where the receivers, Amari Cooper breaks off the 60-plus yarders. Michael Gallup adjusts to the football. We do get blitzes picked up. And so that's what's so frustrating. It'd be a totally different animal if we didn't have the talent and ability on this football team to even compete in games like this. And here we are 2 weeks in a row where, in my opinion, we are our own worst enemy. Okay, and we have to do an internal reflection of certain things with this football team. Jumping over to the defense, the lack of physicality in the run game, the lack of accountability on outside contain by my corners and my linebackers is horrendous. It's not good enough and it needs to improve. And these are things that got us buried in the playoff game against the Rams when we're talking about certain run fits and just flat out getting gashed. And we haven't seen that improvement coming into this season. And Aaron Jones ran all over us today, and that's not good enough. When I talk even about the execution and stuff, and Amari Cooper had a fabulous day today. 11 catches, I think 226 yards. A ridiculous touchdown that, will be on highlight reels at the end of the season. He has to make that catch at the beginning of the game. If we start 7-0 versus them getting the interception, Jair Alexander, and then they go up 7-0, you see the shift in momentum, and we didn't recover fast enough. We didn't have that short memory. Yes, the pass was slightly behind him. The last time I checked, and for those of you who follow me on Twitter, y'all saw I got into it with Shannon Sharp about this because he hates Dak. It just is what it is. But, everyone's quick to call out, hey, the ball was miles behind him and all this. It was a terrible throw. As Troy Aikman, also a Hall of Famer, said on the broadcast, former Hall of Fame quarterback as well, throw is good enough. Wide receiver has to make that play. Amari Cooper, aside from that play, was positive. Fought like a warrior. He's dealing with a foot issue and an ankle issue, and he's still beating Jair Alexander all over the field. So Amari Cooper was a big positive day. Michael Gallup coming back after getting his knee cleaned up, also a big positive day. Continuing to fight. We go through Dak Prescott's interceptions because the other one that will be talked about is the Gallup interception. We're down 2 scores. I believe it was 31-17. Where all the momentum is starting to come back to the Cowboys, and Kevin King gets the pick. Look, and I've never been one to cry about officiating, but officiating was terrible today for both teams. Both teams were negatively impacted by the officiating. And that Kevin King play from our purview in that point of the game, that particular play, at the minimum, that is illegal contact. You cannot pull the guy's head down. And my thing is, if you're not gonna make that call on Kevin King, then you can't call the Jeff Heath defensive holding on Jimmy Graham when Jimmy Graham's falling down. Which one is it? Because Michael Gallup gets his head pulled on. He has no idea where he is when he's coming up, and he's getting bumped from the start of the play. And as Mike Pereira even came on and said, that should have been illegal contact, right? So, and look, there was plays there that were ridiculous. The Dak, when he gets hit on the side of the helmet, Green Bay negatively impacted by that. But the league has to take a look at this crew and get those things cleaned up. A lot of people were texting me about that as well, and I completely agree because it destroys our viewing experience. Whether I was a Packers fan or a Cowboys fan, I don't want to see the product that I'm watching look like that. It did not make for an enjoyable experience, even as an NFL fan. The second pick that he threw, where the guy cut underneath Randall Cobb, that is 100% on Dak, and he left some plays on the field today, and he has to play better. He did not play well enough this week. I thought he was absolutely fine in the Saints game and took too much blame. The blame he gets today is deservedly so, because he probably should have thrown some more picks in there. Kevin King dropped one. They had the one other interception in the end zone where he's starting to revert back to some of those bad habits, that fadeaway jumper. And look, I get it because it bleeds into the offensive line. Look, Tyron Smith is out, but Devontae Adams is out on the other side for Green Bay. You got to step up when guys aren't there. I get it. But the offensive line struggles and them getting beat with interior pressure, all of a sudden, Dak's mechanics start to stray. He's throwing the fadeaway jumpers. Some of them worked, some of them didn't, and he's lobbing the one to Randall Cobb, and that ball gets intercepted. Fortunately, we're saved by the hands to the face penalty. So all of these things have to get cleaned up. We got to show more fight on the offensive line from a physicality standpoint. And it's unfortunate that we got down by so much because we were really going to be able to run the ball all over these guys. We averaged almost 6 yards a carry. We still ended up with 120 plus yards rushing. But unfortunately, Zeke can't really be part of the party from a run perspective when you're down 31-3. The Tony Pollard stuff, who's another guy who's still underutilized in this offense, that stuff goes out the window. But as frustrating as this game was, our guys can still get open. We still have speed on the outside. The jet sweep stuff or the outside stuff we have with Tavon Austin is still there. All that is still on the plate for us, but we have to be more consistent. We cannot afford to be our own worst enemy in these football games. Leighton Vander Esch, to me, this was one of his worst games as a Dallas Cowboy, if not his worst game. Getting sucked inside way too often, not understanding what type of running back you're going inside against in Aaron Jones. I've been watching this brother since UTEP. He likes to bounce stuff. He likes to cut. He's a very creative runner, but he's a very aggressive slashing type of running back. And we just face these guys almost every year. We should be aware of the personnel that we're up against, and the tackling has to be better. Not understanding proper angles, all that was a big disappointment. The cushion issues that we saw from last week, and I understand they didn't allow a touchdown against the Saints and only gave up 12 points. But one of my complaints that I would have made if I made the recap video was you're giving up too much and allowing guys to get comfortable within their routes, and it's easy pitch and catch for the quarterback. Too many times you saw Chidobe Awuzie as well as Byron Jones playing way off the ball and giving up too much underneath. Byron Jones several times against Geronimo Allison, him clearing across his face. So all those things were very, very frustrating to see. So a lot of this stuff, we just got to get cleaned up across the board. If it's a Chris Richard thing where he has to come back and say, hey, we do need to play a more aggressive type of technique, because now I'm starting to question our defensive scheme in these situations. It's way too much cushion. And Byron Jones didn't play well today either. You think we have the advantage with the Devontae Adams out. They're the Packers, and credit to the Packers for winning this game, if I haven't mentioned that already. Trotting out next man up, whether it's Jay Kumerow or Geronimo Allison or MVS. And, Aaron Rodgers is just working with what he got. I know many of the Packers fans are going to be frustrated with how Aaron Rodgers handled that fourth quarter and the boneheadedness of the clock management situations. Hopefully Matt LaFleur can get that addressed on their side. But coming back to the Cowboys, it's frustrating. Everybody, took the 3-0 and we're like, all right, those are teams we were supposed to beat. Arguably the three worst teams in the league, although the Giants have gotten a little bit somewhat better, but was what it was with those three. How are we going to look against really good football teams in the Saints and the Packers? And both weeks we did not pass the test. So now we go back and play another horrible team next week in the New York Jets before we go to battle with the Philadelphia Eagles. And over these next 2 weeks, again, they have to do some internal soul searching, and they need to find a field goal kicker. And I know we probably still would have lost the game if Brett Maher makes the kick. And, the chances and the way onside kicks work these days, highly unlikely we would have recovered that. However, I have been saying since preseason, for those of you who follow this channel on a consistent basis, I have not been comfortable with the kicking situation, really going back to last season, but I thought we should have had another veteran kicker or somebody in there to compete against Brett Maher and make him work for the job. He missed the equivalent of an extra point. I know Xavier Su'a-Filo went off, had a false start. That was still, even with the false start, it's a 33-yard field goal, which leads me to the next thing. Why didn't Jason Garrett attempt the field goal coming out of the 2-minute warning to conserve as much time as possible? These are questions I have. They're playing a shell defense. They have 19 people in the end zone. And then Dak Prescott decides to take off and run, throw the football away, save the timeout, save the time. Just poor situational awareness across the board in that particular situation. So I do need to assign blame there. I did like the fire that Jason showed. I know he got the penalty, but that's what a lot of us have been asking for from him. And it shouldn't have to take your team getting all the way in that situation for you to show that energy. Because what happened the next play? They go 1st and 25, and Ezekiel Elliott gets a ball on the sideline. That was really tough catch for any running back, and he makes that catch when Rashawn Gary got hurt. So, that's the type of fire and energy we need to see from our head coach. And I'm not on the whole Jason should be gone tomorrow, because I've been saying that I don't think he's the right answer. But in the context of this season and how things have gone, a lot of this stuff is on the players. And if we're going to talk about how talented this roster is and how we have all these guys at all these different levels, my only criticism with Jason is just that energy and getting them rallied and ready to go. I did not see where we were tactically, where Green Bay out schemed us in any manner, especially with our offense. So that's why I also have Kellen Moore as a positive today. So, and look, I might even be contradicting myself here, who knows. But Jason Garrett, I've been a very hard critic of Jason Garrett, but I'm glad I got to at least see that. I didn't think he was being treated well by the officials to begin with. But overall, guys, just a really frustrating day for us as Cowboys fans. And we got to rally as a team, or else, all this. And I'm done with the hot boy shit. I'm done with it. I'm done with hearing about the linebackers. You got to show me. You got to freaking show me. I'm done with all the hot boy shit, guys. It needs to end. I don't see DeMarcus Lawrence with that impact. Even Robert Quinn, who was quiet at times today, Dorrance Armstrong made a play. We need more from our pass rush, or else we're going to have to start generating it with more blitzing. We'll see what happens. But overall, those are my thoughts. I'm sorry if this was more of a rant, but when I make these reactions after the game, this is just how I feel as a fan, raw emotion. So appreciate you guys for sticking with me. Matthew, appreciate the production as always, my friend. And, we'll be back with something midweek. But got to process and digest and do a little bit of internal self-reflecting for the Cowboys. So peace, guys.